All right, looks like yes, we are on YouTube now. So, hello everyone, welcome to Academy of Astrology podcast. Today with me is dear Marcus. Hey Marcus, how are you?
Hi Rod, I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. I'm a little bit like overwhelmed by information because this afternoon I did a bit kind of a study about the uh Uranus because
Yes.
Uranus is going to move back to Taurus. So I say, you know what? Let me have a quick review and just like with a lot of
I
data, keep digesting and comparing. So,
mean, that's great, but the whole multiple rabbit hole trap,
oh
just
yes, oh yes. And you think AI will help? AI just give you more homework.
just multiplies the possibilities, right? Yeah.
Yes, not only multiply possibility, and also you have to examine what
Yes,
they
yeah,
say is true or
you
not.
have to double check the information. Yeah,
Oh, I
absolutely.
was like, a little bit crazy, but it was so nice to have you here today. So we are going to focus on a few topics. First, we are going to talk about the current full moon. It's a super full moon, and that's quite interesting because we have quite a lot of things going on. And then by should I say tomorrow early morning, I mean just after midnight, we will have the Uranus move back from Gemini to Taurus. That was a very interesting, and then we
Mhm.
will move on to the new moon. So, should we?
Great. Let's do it.
Should
Yep.
I share a chart? Should I share a chart?
Yes. Let's
Yeah.
go.
So, okay, we have this current full moon, as I say, is not just a full moon; is a super moon. Do you know? When I was studying the super moon, I get a very interesting information because the name of a super moon is coined back to an astrologer rather than astronomer.
Huh. Who was
Yeah,
it?
I think it's oh God, I forget. I think it must be Richard Nolan or someone
Okay.
is yeah, who was started to this name of a super moon, and then he published the study of the when moon is getting close to the perigee, so close to
Yes.
the Earth, and then the influence and impact quite interesting. We know the astronomer and scientists they won't believe this, but it become a social trend because people start talking about super moon. Moon is larger. Well, it's true for the view or something. It's a little bit
I
bigger.
would assume, well, I mean, you may be able to tell me this, Rod, but I would assume that its tidal effects would be stronger when it's close to the Earth. So I would assume, but that's a guess. I don't know if that's true.
Yeah, I think so. I would say I would guess so because
Yeah.
I haven't done this study, but I know usually when we are alive, well alive, for example, the autumn, like around the September, October,
Hmm.
when we have our full moon, and that is because the sun moon align with Earth around that time because the moon was near the equator
Yeah.
and that sun is around the equator. So usually we have a huge tide in September. The
Oh,
September
interesting.
full moon, usually you have a huge tidal wave all around the world. So from that view, I say maybe, should be. I shouldn't be skeptical, but I think so. The influence, but I just try to be careful because
Oh,
I am
sure.
not
No, no, no. Same, same.
scientist.
Without fact checking, yes, exactly. The
Yeah,
assumption was supermoons would have stronger astrological influences, and
I
I would
agree with
think,
that.
I would guess that that would even maybe extend to the physical with tides, But
Mm.
I'm going to Google that while we're talking.
We're going to check about that. Yes, yes. But how about this full moon in Taurus? I mean, could be very interesting, right? Because the Scorpio sun and the Taurus moon, this is more about like aware about our value, money, or body. What is your approach to this full moon?
Well, yeah. So, I mean, you're sort of talking about the sort of thing of looking at the sign Taurus as
Yeah,
representing value, money, body, and I take a slightly different approach because I lean more towards the traditional thing. I don't think
sure.
those things are entirely wrong, but I'm not a follower of the simple astrological alphabet where Taurus is
Mm-hmm,
equivalent to the second house, which is money.
mm-hmm,
I don't think that's true at all. I also
mm-hmm.
don't think Venus doesn't Venus doesn't rule money traditionally. Venus has
Mm-hmm.
something to do with money because Venus is about luxury and the
Mm-hmm.
ability to attract things.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so Taurus, I think, is an earth sign. It's a fixed earth sign, and it's a sign that's associated with the spring, and it's a sign which likes both the moon and Venus. So it's a sign about the body, that because the moon traditionally was things like the body, plant life, food, digestion, security, home, and comfort. And Venus is all about pleasure, luxury, enjoyment. So it does have a lot to do with the enjoyment of the physical and the fruits of the fruits of physical labor in a sense. So in that sense, I think it does have a lot to say about money. And because it's an earth sign, it does have a lot to say about the body, but it's more money rather than money per se. It's more like physical comfort and luxury.
Mm-hmm.
That's what Taurus is
Mm-hmm.
about. So full moon in Taurus, because it's opposite that moon in Scorpio. Obviously, we've talked about this before. The full moons always have this feeling of like all the cards are on the table. So this isn't an eclipse. So it's not like a massive watershed for the world, but it is like at this point in the month, sort
Mm-hmm.
of certain things will be on full display. And because the moon is in Taurus, they might be stuff to do with the body, with luxury, with our physical security. And yes, that can have to do
Yeah.
with finances because it often does. But
Yeah.
I don't think it's quite as simple as saying Taurus is money. But there is
Mm-hmm.
a link there for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that it's powered by that sun in Scorpio, which is of course in the northern hemisphere, it's the autumn, and the symbolism of Scorpio is very much that autumnal symbolism of the leaves falling from the trees, everything starting to
Yeah.
die and prepare for winter, and at the same time the fruits appearing, like think of the rose hips and that sort of little buds appearing in the hedgerow, the
Yeah.
fruits of next year's flowers appearing. That's that double symbolism of Scorpio as being death and rebirth. So
Uh-huh.
it's sort of like the powering up of Taurus there. So something just generically about a full moon in Taurus, and especially a full supermoon, is sort of like something about the physical, the attention being put on the physical body, on luxury, on how you're supporting yourself, and sort of, but also what might need to be eliminated to allow you to do that.
Ah,
So what needs to
yeah.
go, sort of what has to be emotionally eliminated to do that in a sense.
Uh-huh.
And I think what's interesting about this full moon is the moon is ruled by Venus, which is very
Mm-hmm.
strong in her sign of Libra, but
Yeah.
she's in the last degrees of Libra, which is in the
Yes.
terms ruled by Mars. So
Yeah.
Venus is slightly spicier in those last degrees of Libra than she would be, and she's squaring Jupiter in Cancer at the moment. So the first thing I'd say about this full moon, and then I'll pass the microphone over to you because I don't go on
No
too
problem.
long. But the first thing would be, I think something about the way this full moon will show up or work out is going to have to do with the ruler of the moon, which is Venus in Libra. And Libra is a social sign, it's a communicative sign. Venus in Libra is all about saying the right words, making things better. But I think in those terms of Mars, she might be slightly overextending herself or overstimulating, particularly with the square to Jupiter. So the
Mm.
sense of this is, for me, the vibe of this is, okay, there's a strong desire to make things more luxurious, more comfortable, more secure and accommodating. But then it's like, okay, maybe we've been in some ways overextending ourselves socially. Maybe there's been some overdoing of things a little bit. And something, this is the Scorpio bit of it, something
Mm-hmm.
needs to be eliminated or let go of, so to use a less loaded word, let go of, to enable that, because that's the sun moon opposition. There's a dichotomy. Your needs, which are the moon, are in opposition to where your sort of heart needs to go, to where the future direction, because the sun is very much looking to the future and the moon is looking to the present and the past. So that where you need to go is sort of like, okay, there needs to be a bit of a Marie Kondo job done on an emotional level, or
Mm-hmm.
to enable you to acquire that kind of security. So that's the general vibe, I think, for this full moon.
Always, I 100% agree with you. And it's very inspiring, especially when you blend in with this sun in Scorpio is about elimination. So
Mm.
in order to enjoy the body's comfort or get something, then we have to think about what we should eliminate it. Am I understand correctly? That's what you say.
Something
Similar
along
some
those lines. I mean, I
yeah,
don't think it's quite as drastic as totally
yeah,
cutting everything out, but
yeah, yeah,
the sun in Scorpio, the sun is vision, so it's
yeah,
enabling, and the moon is vision. They both rule the eyes in medical
yeah,
astrology.
yeah.
So the sun is enabling people, I think, to see. And this is what Scorpio does really well. Unfortunately, it
Hmm.
does it a little bit too well. It's almost like a trauma-informed vision goggles. You know, Scorpio will emotionally see what needs the problem. It'll see the
Hmm.
problem. I see this problem. This problem needs
Yeah,
fixing. As I say, it is a bit like trauma-informed goggles. Sometimes it can sometimes only see the problem, and that is the issue.
yeah.
Scorpio sometimes need to be able to step back from that tendency to continuously excavate issues. But yeah, something along those lines.
So generally, this full moon would be have like a more toward to our maybe the like you say the how we enjoy the
Mm.
life or maybe something related to maybe food or food wise or something.
I think it could be food because the Taurus element. It could also be the social thing because Venus is in
Uh-huh.
Libra,
Oh
which is
yes.
super social. Venus rules the
Uh-huh.
moon, and there's that square to Jupiter, which is like hyper
Mhm.
abundant. But the
Yes.
square with Venus and Jupiter is mostly a very positive square because they're both very dignified. They're both very strong. But
Hmm.
it's sort of like Jupiter is saying to Venus, yes, do more, do more, and I think Scorpio isn't about that. And the ruler of the sun, Mars, as we're going to segue onto, I'm sure, is opposing Uranus at this full
Yes.
moon, which is this
Yeah.
really interesting, spicy element
Oh
that
yeah.
that's one way of putting it, where it's sort of radical, drastic, rapid multi-directional action because Mars is in Sagittarius, the fire sign. It's like the archer is firing several arrows, a fistful of arrows all at once, going
Mm.
in different directions. And Uranus is sort of like a random event generator. And it's sort of like saying the vibe is like a sort of sudden attack of hyper adrenalized innovation. So something about the moon, the full moon, is about the sort of pleasures physically and the sort of tendency to want to expand socially. So it's all about, to me, it's like this is what the desire of this full moon is. This is what's coming on the table. It's like, how do we expand in our comfort, in our comfort in our own skin socially? But there's this drastically adrenalized, like unstable, radical element in this full moon, which is really interesting. And I think for some people, it might make them feel extremely impatient with
Hmm.
things like, okay, I need to cut this off and this off and this off and this off. Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
Chop everything out.
Yeah. And it's like, be careful of that because I
Yeah.
think sometimes with this full moon, you might bite off more than you can chew if you do that, or you could be a little
Ah.
accident prone. I went climbing the other night because I do enjoy climbing. I guess
Yeah.
it's my Capricorn moon, I don't know, whatever, but and Aries in the fifth house, so I like stuff like that. But somebody fell off the wall and broke their arm.
Ooh.
And this guy fell off and broke his arm, and I just thought, oh, probably, if as an astrologer I would have been like, it's not hitting anything in my chart, particularly this mutable opposition.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
really wanted to run up to him. I mean, I didn't, obviously, because I'm not quite that psychopathic, but I really wanted to run up to him and say, are you a Gemini? Are you you know what I mean? What's going on?
Oh.
just to find out.
Yeah.
Because he'd obviously been struck by the Mars Uranus that evening. But yeah.
Yeah, well, talk about this one because we mentioned about this kind of thing, but another thing is we just mentioned the Uranus is going to move back to Taurus very soon in few hours time, and that is very interesting because we have Taurus full moon and the Uranus is moved back from the Gemini in this full moon chart still in Gemini, but tonight it moved back to Taurus. So we are going to, from my view, we are going to review do a quick review for past 7 years about Uranus in Taurus. What we doing with the Taurus theme, with the security, with the food, with the nutrition, with our body. I will still say from you with money or with beauty. I don't know.
No, valid. I mean, like I say,
Yeah.
I think Taurus does have something to do with beauty, definitely beauty and comfort, but money as well, just
Mm.
sort of tangentially, because it's all about physical security and comfort,
Yeah.
and that is to do with money a lot of the time. So, yeah.
Yeah, and this period, because it's going to stay here until next year, I think around April, if I'm correct, remember correctly. So during this period, we are going to review whole the Uranus in Taurus theme. So that's why this afternoon I spent the time to check all the news, what happened last 7 years, and what we care about the least, and it was pretty interesting. Let me give you a few examples, because about the commercialized, and about the commercialized the last 7 years, especially for example, post COVID,
Mm,
there is a trend about kind of a change of globalization.
yeah.
Not only the COVID, but also with tariff imposed by Trump. But not even Trump, but everything put together. The globalization is, I don't want to say it's going to disappear, but it's reshaping, it's changing, because during the COVID, the factory stopped, and the transport was stopped, and every country have to think the way. For example, European country and the North America used to rely on South and the Central America or Asia for import. For example, medicine and facial mask.
Mm.
And then people have to think about it like a restart the facial mask factory in Europe, in France. And
Do you remember? I mean, just a little
yeah,
shout out for
yeah,
Mandy, I think, did a video for this channel a few, probably 7 years ago now, called
yeah,
Uranus and Taurus Shake Your Body. So I mean, it's
yes,
an old video, but go and check that out, because it was very good summary. And you've just got me thinking, Rod, that some of the food shortages that have happened, and particularly during the pandemic, a lot of
yeah,
the distribution of food and resources, like literally those things to do with actual sustenance and security, were cut off for a time,
yeah.
destabilized.
Yeah, that is very interesting. But we talk the food, yes, and
Yeah.
also it's like when it's cut off. It's like, for example, I'm an Asian and I love my Asian food. So if the supply is cut off, I have to think about the replacement. How
Yeah.
I am going to replace the food I like
Yeah.
with a Belgian sprout.
With beige, like British tasteless. Yes. Yeah. I mean, that's a problem. That's a problem. I mean, there was the other thing that I thought, obviously, is, I mean, this is something that's been brewing culturally for decades, but it really became a massive cultural phenomenon. The whole sort of the conversation about transgender, non-binary, gender identity became absolutely mainstream. And this is
Mhm.
something that, Mandy again alluded to indirectly, but in that video about Uranus and Taurus Shake Your Body, it's all about
Yeah,
revolutionizing the idea of literally the physical, the body,
yeah,
identities. And Uranus has this revolutionary, to many shocking kind of thing, and it's a planet that symbolizes pure logic and also change. So many of those changes in attitudes and perspective are very challenging to many people. So I think that's been an interesting thing too.
yeah. I know we have a time limit, but when you're talking about shaking your body or something, they just remind me the last 7 years, toward the end of the last 7 years, one thing comes out, and make people talking about something like lose weight is super easy. Those diabetic medicine, Ozempic, I think is that,
Yes,
and it
yes.
become it. Okay,
Mainstream as
so
well. Yes.
we spent the last decade to talking about body positive. Love your body. Every shape is good. But suddenly, this job.
This is pure Uranus, isn't it? Because Uranus just flips the script. I mean, that would be a
Yeah,
Uranus phrase, right? It's just sort of like it revolution, not just in the sense of Che Guevara, but revolution in the sense of literally just the thing flips,
Yes.
from one thing to another. But I think that the Uranus is the planet of truth. There's also a sense of, with all the outers, I think they all outer planets, they all expose over time the subconscious machinations of human thinking. I think, like, what's going on under the surface, they just do it in different ways. Like Neptune does it through disillusionment.
Yeah.
Pluto does it through, I don't know, just expose it. Catharsis, I guess, is probably the word.
Yes.
It's a bland word for a terrifying experience. And Uranus does it like that. Do you know what I mean? Suddenly,
Yeah.
like, here's what you're doing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just, yeah.
I was thinking, we try so hard to allow myself feel comfortable with my body fat, and now everyone use the job is like, oh my God, you gotta kidding me.
But I think the truth about Uranus, I mean, obviously it's a planetary symbol, it's a symbol of,
Yeah.
but all the outers they can encompass both. And I mean, I had a colleague who used to say the truth is a dice with six sides, and obviously that's an idiom, but I mean, it means just like, it can mean literally. I mean, I know people will have different philosophical views on this. Some people will say there is only one truth, and I'm like, well,
Yeah.
I have Jupiter in Gemini, so I'm kind of pluralistic with my truth. It's sort of like, I think maybe in a wide sense there is the sort of the metaphor I use, and it's probably borrowed from some philosopher or other in a magpie way, but like, is like, it's a courtyard. And every perspective that we have as a human is like one window looking out of that courtyard. And some of the windows are big and some of them are small and some of them look out. So like, some of them, you're like, you can have an argument looking through this window. It's like, that's a statue. No, it's a dog. No, it's, because you can't see it. And then you go through the next one. It's like, oh, it's definitely a statue. But none of the windows gives you the complete view. So there may be such a thing as the truth, but no single human frame allows you to compass the truth. So I think this is why it's very challenging for us as humans sometimes to accept that but I think adulting is about accepting cognitive dissonance a lot of the time. And certainly when you have a Uranian experience, so all of that to say that reveals that, in a sense, all of that is to say it can be a both and thing. We can have body positivity and have people who are like, but I want to be thin because social norms. And I'm like, maybe ultimately maybe the battle those people need to wage is an internal one. And I say this is obviously as a Uranus and Scorpio native, but maybe they need to reconcile that truth for themselves. But socially, I think we can come to that. But it is interesting. I've not thought of the Ozempic one. That's a very interesting new angle on it.
Well, should we go to have a quick look the next new moon chart before we finish today's?
Amazing.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go have a look at the new moon chart. It is very interesting. We couldn't get rid of Uranus today.
Not that we want to. I mean,
no, because this new moon at 28 degrees Scorpio are right opposite Uranus.
Uranus, the Joker of the zodiac, right? Do you know what I mean? You never know what you're going to get. You never know what you're going to get. Yeah. Do you want to start, Rod, or shall I?
Okay. Yes. I think this is a interesting Scorpio new moon because it told you the end. There's a sense of the end of it, and then right next to the lilies, so it make it even darker. It make people feel like there's something boiling inside of our heart, like it's a strong, powerful. You can say desire. You can say it's kind of a dark mind or shadow things is boiling there. It's like get me out of here. And right opposite that, Uranus is like it's going to go. So I think it would be a new star and a very dynamic, a very powerful new star, and with a powerful what should I say? Emotion dynamic. Let me use this word. But in another way, well, very sweet. We have a water grand twilight. Maybe it can really guide it. I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, it's fascinating, this one, because we've got the new moon at the end of Scorpio in those last degrees ruled by Saturn traditionally, the
Hmm.
turns of Saturn at the end of Scorpio. Mercury, of course, retrograded back into Scorpio, so
Yeah.
combust and invisible. So there's a sense of like, just on an emotional level, this is beginning a new sort of month or cycle at the end of something. It's almost like
Ah.
you're revisiting old psychological emotional patterns and finalizing the process. And the positive of this grand trine, I think, here with the opposition to Uranus is you might have a sudden revelation of
Mhm.
that's what I need to do to fix this crap,
Yeah.
because what's happening is we've got the trine to Jupiter, which has just turned retrograde, and the trine to Saturn, which is the term ruler of that, both Sun, Moon, and Mercury. And Saturn is about to station direct. And when a planet goes retrograde, so Jupiter is going inward, so the planet of judgment, the planet of good fortune and expansion is drawing inwards, it's withdrawing its energy. And the planet of boundaries and barriers and editing and making things concrete by removing superfluous material gradually, which is Saturn, is going direct. It's about to
Mhm.
start manifesting itself outwardly again. So to me, this new moon is about some like just a point at which you're like, these are the seeds I need to sow to resolve this recurrent little blockage in my life. And that could be on an emotional level. It could be on an outward level for those of you with water signs strongly featured in your chart. So I know for me, I've got a Scorpio rising. So I'm going to have Jupiter's in my ninth house stationing on my chart ruler Mars, actually. And I can already see that right now for my little online school, I've got a bunch of courses that have landed on my desk that are just getting finished. And I have to begin this process of reviewing and editing them over the next couple of months. So that's an external manifestation of it. But the internal process is like, you see what I mean? This is like a
Yeah.
sudden finishing up of
Yeah.
things, but it's like you have to begin a new thing of finishing up some old stuff that you're going over. And on a psychological level, I think this could be a very useful, perhaps shocking revelation of like, this is the old stuff I need to clear, and this is how I need to clear it. That's the grand trine
Cool.
vibe. Yeah.
Cool, cool. I really like this interpretation. Especially, I think we both agree with that. The opposite of Uranus is kind of a let's. I had enough. Let me
Yeah,
start it again.
it could be a radical provocation,
Yeah.
or just a sudden. It could doesn't have to be a massive slap in the face, and I do like the fact that there is that the Jupiter and Saturn in trine and trining both ends of that may rather smooth it out. It could
Hmm.
just literally be an epiphany, like a moment of
Hmm.
like Saul on the road to Damascus vibes. The scales fall from your eyes. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
this is why I'm emotionally blocked in this area. Do you know what I
I
mean? Yeah.
that is sweet. That is sweet. Yeah. Well, thank you for joining us today for this very interesting, very quick discussion about the current full moon and with respect to Taurus and the new moon chart. Well, I'm going to invite you. Is there any new course coming up from your school or any talk you're going to give?
Oh,
Um,
thank you, Rod. That's
you
very
you
kind.
prepare that because I'm going to do advertising here first because from
Fantastic.
yeah
Absolutely excellent. Yes.
from the
So we
5th to
should.
7th. Yeah, should I start it?
Yes. Yeah. You go. You go.
Yes, yes. So the 5th to 7th of December is our Academy of Astrology online conference. We run this for 3 or 4 years now. Every year, toward the end of the year, we will invite all our friends, dear colleagues, and go to share their knowledge. And we really enjoy. It's just a little bit like a gather around, and we all share our knowledge. And usually, I use a very cheap price because we set kind of a 2 or 3 days conference. 80 pound, I think is a
Very
really
good
good price.
price.
And we still have another 3 day for this early bird price. And Marcus is going to talk about primary direction. Oh my
Yes.
God, I love you talk about primary direction because Rarely people talk about that, and that is a very interesting technique. And so I'm really looking forward to listen this again. And we have Sue Tompkins going to talk about progression on a Friday night,
Mm.
and then my dear friend Geraldine is going to talk about solar arc. The first day we are focused on personal forecasting or you say prediction technique. But the second day we are talking about big picture, like the world is changing with all these outer planet moving around. How we going to prepare for it? For
The
example,
theme of it is prediction, isn't it, Rod? It's
yes,
forecasting and sort of
yeah,
future.
forecasting,
How do you as an
yes.
astrologer analyze the future? Yeah.
Yeah, so please, if you still have another 3 days, if you haven't booked yet, you still have another 3 days to enjoy this early bird price. So, Marcus, any new webinar or course coming up?
Other than that one, which I'm really looking forward to next month. And by the way, that is a fantastic price. So if you're
Yeah,
interested in learning, forecasting techniques, book it, because there's so many. I mean, not just me. There's loads of brilliant astrologers there.
yes.
So yes, the only other thing is this weekend, this Sunday, I'm doing, I'm doing Judith Hill's Academy, which is it's
Uh-huh.
called the Herbalism and Astrology Summit, I think, and I'm doing that I'm doing a talk there this Sunday. So it's all weekend actually, the summit, but I'm doing a talk this Sunday for that, and that talk will be on sort of practical remediation, which is a talk of sort of I debuted it at the AA conference this summer, so I've just tweaked it a little bit. Where I'm just going to be talking about finding constitutional remedies from the birth chart. So yeah.
Cool, cool, cool. Well, so don't forget going to join us for our conference and visit Marcus' website for his coming up new course and webinar. So, well, thank you for joining us. And then next
Thank you, Rod.
week, as is our usual mundane astrology discussion, what are we going to talk about? So many things happening right now. We just couldn't catch it up. So join us next Friday. Okay, see you. Bye bye.
Amazing. Thanks, Rod. Bye, guys.